みなさん、こんにちは。Welcome back to NihonGoal. 元気ですか? This is part 2 of Minna No Nihongo Intermediate Lesson 16. Before we begin, make sure to check out part 1 of this lesson. In this lesson, we will learn about the following grammar points. とともに、たところ、あまりにから、ところだったに限って。はい、準備できたら始めましょう。Our first grammar point is とともに。X とともに Y means that Y happens at the same time as X. It works with both actions, verbs, and things, nouns, to show that they happened at the same time. It is similar to together with or along with in English. とともに is similar to the grammar pattern ながら, which is used to show that someone is doing two things at the same time, or simultaneously. For example, 彼は歩きながら音楽を聴いている. He is listening to music while walking. Again, とともに is used to emphasize the occurrence of two events or states at the same time. It is usually used in formal or written Japanese. It is less common in everyday conversation. We can use とともに with verbs and nouns. For verbs, we use the dictionary form followed by とともに plus the supporting sentence. And for nouns, we just add とともに again followed by the supporting sentence. So let's take a look at some examples on how to use とともに. Our first example is using a verb. Here we have, together with the end of summer, the temperature began to drop. So two things are happening at the same time. The end of summer, at the same time, the temperature drops. We say, 夏が終わる. 夏が終わる, the end of summer, plus とともに. So with the end of summer, 気温が下がり始めた. 夏が終わるとともに気温が下がり始めた. As Frederick grew up, his independence also strengthened. We say, フレデリックさんが成長するとともに自立心も強くなった。フレデリックさんが成長するとともに自立心も強くなった。Next is using a noun. For example, why don't you set a new goal with your new life? Our noun is your new life, which is 新しい生活。新しい生活とともに新しい目標を立ててみてはどうでしょうか。新しい生活とともに新しい目標を立ててみてはどうでしょうか。And next example, along with the evolution of technology, our daily lives have significantly changed. We say, テクノロジーの進化。進化 means evolution. テクノロジーの進化とともに日常生活は大きく変わってきた。テクノロジーの進化とともに日常生活は大きく変わってきた。Our next grammar point is たところ。The pattern X たところ Y is used to say that after doing X, it has become clear or known that Y happened. Both X and Y are in the past tense, and it shows that one thing happened after the other. This is a formal expression often used in writing. It doesn't have a direct English translation, but it can imply that Y happened after X. Similar grammar patterns are てから and すると. てから shows that after doing X, Y happened later. It focuses more on the sequence of the action rather than the consequence or the discovery. While すると is about immediate reaction or result following an action. We can use たところ with verbs. For verbs, we need to use the た form followed by ところ. So たところ and then another sentence in past form. たところ is more formal, so it is commonly used in writing or formal events or formal conversation. So let's take a look at some examples on how to use this pattern. Our first example,
When I opened the door, a cat came in. We say, ドアを our verb is to open, which is 開けます which becomes 開けた because it's in that form. ドアを開けたところ plus 猫が入ってきた So after opening the door, a cat came in. ドアを開けたところ猫が入ってきた When I called, he had already left. We say, 電話をかけた。電話をかけたところ、彼はもう出かけていた。電話をかけたところ、彼はもう出かけていた。I realized I had forgotten my wallet when I rode or when I got on the train. We say, 電車に rode or ride is 乗った。電車に乗ったところ So after or when I rode the train, that's when I realized that I have forgotten my wallet. 財布を忘れたことに気づいた。電車に乗ったところ、財布を忘れたことに気づいた。
Our next grammar pattern is あまりにから。The pattern あまりに X から Y means that Y happens because X is too much or too extreme. Amari is the more casual or informal version and is commonly used in everyday conversation, while amari ni is more neutral. Again, this implies that Y happens because X is too much or too extreme. We can use this pattern with adjectives. We say amari ni plus adjective plus kara because it's two adjective plus the supporting sentence. But avoid using this pattern in situation where X is not really too extreme to justify Y. So let's take a look at some examples on how to use this pattern.
Our first example, her performance was so wonderful that I was moved to tears. Our adjective is wonderful. We say, 彼女の演技 means her performance is so wonderful or was so wonderful. あまりに wonderful is 素晴らしい. So in past tense, 素晴らしかったから because her performance was so wonderful that I was moved to tears. 感動して涙が出た. I was moved and I cried. 彼女の演技があまりに素晴らしかったから感動して涙が出た。Next example, our adjective is cold. Because it's too cold, I decided to wear a coat. あまりに followed by 寒い cold. あまりに寒いからコートを着ることにした。あまりに寒いからコートを着ることにした。Because I'm too busy, I forgot my promise to a friend. We say, あまりに our adjective is busy, which is 忙しい。あまりに忙しいから友達との約束を忘れた。あまりに忙しいから友達との約束を忘れた。Another example, I think I will study it again because it was too difficult. We say, あまりに our adjective is difficult, which is 難しい which becomes 難しかった because we use the past tense was too difficult. あまりに難しかったからもう一度勉強しようと思います。あまりに難しかったからもう一度勉強しようと思います。
Our next grammar point is たころだった。たころだった is used to express that something almost happened but it didn't. It is usually for a situation where it is good that that thing actually didn't happen. So it's like a close call or a narrow escape. When used as エクスタラば Y ところだった it means that if X had happened, Y would almost have had happened too. But thankfully, neither did. This pattern often goes with phrases or words such as 危うく or もう少しで meaning almost or just about, to really emphasize how close it was to really happening. Again, this pattern is used to express the relief or avoidance of a negative outcome. Be careful with the tenses. Make sure to use the past tense to indicate that that thing actually didn't happen. We can use this pattern with verb in dictionary form or verb in nai form, followed by ところだった. So let's take a look at some examples on how to use this pattern.
Whoa, I almost missed the train. We say, やばい. Our verb is to miss the train, which is 危うく. 危うく means almost. 危うく電車に乗り遅れる. To miss the train. So again, the verb should be in dictionary form. 遅れる. やばい. 危うく電車に乗り遅れるところだった。I almost missed the train, but it didn't happen. やばい。危うく電車に乗り遅れるところだった。Next example. I got lost on the way. I almost got late. We say, 道に迷っていた. To get lost or I lost my way. Followed by, 遅刻する to be late. 遅刻する again in dictionary form plus ところだった。道に迷っていた。遅刻するところだった。I almost got late, but thankfully it didn't happen. Next example, the deadline for the report is approaching. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. So two people are talking here. The first person said, レポートの締め切りが迫っていますよ。レポートの締め切りが迫っていますよ。And the other person said, Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. あ、そうだ。Our verb is to forget. 忘れる。忘れるところだった。あ、そうだ。忘れるところだった。Next example is using verb in nai form. For example, I almost didn't make it on time for the test, but my mom woke me up. We say, もう少しでテストに. So we added the phrase もう少し, just a little bit. もう少しでテストに間に合わない. So 間に合います means to be on time, but we are using the nai form. 間に合わないところだった。So I almost didn't make it on time. But けれど、お母さんが私を起こしてくれました。So my mom woke me up. もう少しでテストに間に合わないところだったけれど、お母さんが私を起こしてくれました。Another example using a nai form is, if I had arrived just 1 minute later, I wouldn't have been able to join the group tour. We say, 1分遅く着いていたら, so if I just arrived 1 minute late, or 到着が1分遅かったら、グループツアーに our verb is be able to join. So we say 参加できない。ない form of できる。参加できないところだったよ。1分遅く着いていたらグループツアーに参加できないところだったよ。
Our next grammar point is に限って。X に限って Y is used to say in exaggeration that Y happens only in specific situation, which is X. It doesn't really have a direct translation to English, but it implies exceptions or unique situations. It is used to show that something stands out or is different than usual. It's a bit like saying especially or particularly in English, pointing out that something is really different or special in a certain situation. We can use this pattern with nouns. So nouns plus ni kagete followed by the sentence. In the pattern noun, ni kagete sentence, it means that especially during nouns, this thing happens. The noun can also be a person. So person plus ni kagete and then the sentence. Now, if the noun is a person, so noun or person plus ni kagete followed by the sentence, it means that that person or those people have the tendency to be Y. This is often used when you are unhappy or critical about something. We can also say noun ni kagete plus a negative sentence or nai form, which is used to say that you are sure that Y will not happen when it's about X. So let's take a look at some examples on how to use ni kagite.
First is using a noun. I always forget my umbrella, particularly or of all days, on rainy days. So this is an exaggeration. 雨の日に限って of all days, particularly on rainy days, 傘を忘れる。雨の日に限って傘を忘れる。So I don't usually forget my umbrella, but of all days or particularly of all days, it's on rainy days. 雨の日に限って傘を忘れる。I get a lot of phone calls, particularly when I'm busy. 忙しい時に限って電話が多い。忙しい時に限って電話が多い。Of all days, to get phone calls, it's when I'm busy. 忙しい時に限って電話が多い。Next is when the noun is a person. So it means that person have a tendency to do or to be Y. For example, I wonder why the people who give the best relationship advice, in particular, are single. So this is just an example. We say, なぜ why 恋愛のアドバイスが一番うまい人. So the people who are good at giving advice about love に限って in particular are single, which is 独身なんだろうね。なぜ恋愛のアドバイスが一番うまい人に限って独身なんだろうね。Another example, they say men with bad boy image in particular are popular with girls. 性格の悪い男. So men or boys with bad image に限って女の子にモテるんだって。モテる means to be popular. It's another word for to be popular. 性格の悪い男に限って女の子にモテるんだって。Next is when it is followed by a sentence in nai form, which means the speaker is confident that Y will not happen when it's about X. For example, of all teams, this team won't lose the match or won't lose the final match. We say, このチームに限って最後の試合で負けないよ。このチームに限って最後の試合で負けないよ。There's no way the food at that restaurant of all places would be bad. We say, あのレストランに限って料理がまずいはずがない。あのレストランに限って料理がまずいはずがない。はず means expectation. So you wouldn't expect the food or the dish in that restaurant to be bad. あのレストランに限って料理がまずいはずがない。
はい、お疲れ様でした。今日のレッスンはどうでしたか？役に立ったら LIKE ボタンを押してください。もしコメントとか質問があればぜひ下に書いてくださいね。I hope you learned something today. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out any of the future lessons. If you want to support this channel even more, please consider becoming my Patreon to my Patreon page where you can get the lesson PDF and other study materials. And as always, to all my Patreons, 本当にありがとうございます。Thank you so much for your continued support. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. I will see you in the next one. またね!
A big shout out to our elite scholars, Maiku, Cornelius, Constantine, Sergio, Mark, Frederick, and Addie. And to our study buddies, Paul, Taras, Jean, Manikantan, Critocrator, Silent Zero, Aishwarya, Lee Dobinson, and Jordan Donkov. And to all our NihonGoal students, 本当にありがとうございます。